Survivor Specialist Phil and Robert are back tonight. Alexa is not here this week, so it's Robert, who I have to refer to as Robert. And Robert's also kicking my ass right now in the fantasy game, so I really have to refer to him as Robert. I can't
Looks
just
like
call him
someone
Intern.
passed the curse along, and it's you, Phil.
Yeah, like I always say, I'm the only one on this podcast who doesn't read spoilers, and I normally win anyway. This year, it just
But
didn't work
when
out
but
for
when
me.
you win, Phil, you don't use spoilers, huh? How
That's
convenient.
it. I know
How
it is
convenient.
convenient. It is convenient. So that's how I look at it. If I lose, it's because everybody else is cheating, and right now I'm losing. Therefore, Robert and Alexa
Therefore,
are
the only
cheating.
logical conclusion is
That's
cheating.
why Alexa actually couldn't be here tonight because she was busy studying the
Because
boot
she was
list.
cheating so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She needed an extra 9 hours to do the boot list tonight. But anyway, we're coming off of another blindside, an interesting vote out tonight with Vochi going home rather than Tiffany. I have some serious thoughts on this move here, but I will say this, and I said this in the Power Rankings episode with Janet. So if anybody hasn't listened to that, go listen to it, even though the episode already happened, because Janet's awesome. And Janet was just fun to talk to. And she has strong opinions that disagreed with me heavily. And she ended up being right most of the time. So I think I've lost my touch in this year. But anyway, I said that I wasn't totally sold on Evie being in control of that tribe after just the one episode, because I feel like Abraham was an easier vote than necessary. But after Evie was able to be pulled away from the tribe and still manage to not have their name brought up and then still turn around and control the entire vote, I'm pretty sold that Evie is controlling the tribe. I just worry that she is currently controlling like the bounty, and she's about to get mutinied, and somebody's going to come back and just knock her off, because
I
I
mean,
don't love the Yase tribe. To me right now is a disaster.
I agree. I
Can
agree.
you survive the flames is the big thing here.
I think Evie is still in a good spot. I mean, basically now that she has, because she at the end of the episode we were seeing like, oh, she's actually wavering about her decision to be with Tiffany because Tiffany's just a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's Evie, Tiffany, and Liana, then Xander literally can't vote until like Xander doesn't have a vote. He doesn't have an idol. He literally can't do anything in the game until someone decides to help him out. And the only way that like that's going to happen, like Evie will have the signal because she saw the message. And so I think Evie's still in a good spot. There's no reason, at least for right now, for people to turn on her. I mean, at the very least, I think that like if you even have to split up the three, it's Evie and Liana.
100%. No, and I'm saying I 100% think that Evie is in the best spot. Yeah. I think Evie is in total control of that tribe. I think that the way that Evie played tonight was really well done. I just don't think I would have voted off David instead of Tiffany. And here's the thing, like, I'm all about the underdog thing. I'm all about the chaos. But then you get like a Jaitia situation, and I'm not about that anymore. Like, to me, that's just too much of like, you're decimating your own tribe just for the sake of it. And in this episode, Evie brings up a really good point. She says, what does it matter if we get rid of Vochi or Xander? We haven't won an immunity anyway. But you would have won the immunity tonight if Tiffany wasn't participating. Right. Like, and so that's where that one annoyed. This wasn't like we just like ran a marathon and then Vochi fell over and collapsed. Or we've seen this in the past where the War Dog can't throw a beanbag. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen this numerous times. But this was one instance where Sarah went home last week, air quotes, because she sucked at the puzzle. Tiffany was the reason they lost tonight. When she said it was a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, it was so much longer than that. Like, it had to have been so much longer than that, because Jeff literally turned his attention from what was going on at the puzzle to yell at her to get across, because I think he was that worried Yase was just going to get smoked and there was going to be no drama, and that's not good for CBS.
I thought we were going to get like a Sri Fields flashback from game changers, honestly. Like, I thought, I mean, it was kind of like really bad. And I don't know. I feel like, yeah, you should play to like, when are we going to merge? When are we going to swap? But I don't think they're going to swap at 15. Like,
they're not going to swap at all this season, supposedly.
Really? Is that what?
That's what the rumor before the season was, is that there was going to be, I think it came from Inside Survivor, there's going to be no swap. If that's the case, Yase's screwed.
Yeah. I mean, what I was thinking that like, so what I think is really cool that we are now seeing as a recurring thing is the people going to whatever extra vote prisoner's dilemma island and risking their vote. I think it's cool to have that be the cross tribe relationship builder besides the swaps, because swaps are confusing. Like whenever there's like a swap on a season, it's always like, oh, these people were here on the first orange tribe and now we're on the third, and I'm like, I literally am never gonna remember this.
I follow it.
And so I was thinking like, yeah, maybe we aren't gonna have a swap because this is how we're gonna have the cross tribe relationships. But like, it's really scary if, you know, you lose every single pre-merge challenge and now you have, I mean, is it the intentional Matt Singh that we finally wanted or something? But that's terrifying. And then I don't know. I don't think in six, my point is, I don't think in 6-person tribes you can wait for the swap. I think every single time it's like we are so low on numbers that we have to play for strength until we get to a bigger tribe and can hide.
Yeah, exactly. So here's my thing. I think you said a lot of good things in there, and I'll start off by saying I agree with you about the cross-tribal thing that's going on right now. This reminds me of Tocantins, and Tocantins almost had the most epic cross-tribe alliance of all time. It didn't work out, but it was in the works. That Exile Island alliance was so cool, and I like that this is going that route. I think this is interesting. Evie's definitely going to get trust points with Deshaun for this. And it seems like Danny was portrayed as such a straight shooter in episode 1, and he was bonding really closely with Deshaun. It seems like Deshaun's going to eat up a lot of truth this season and then eventually going to eat up too much truth and get blindsided. That's what my take on Deshaun is. But Evie is positioning herself incredibly well for the post-merge game here.
Right.
My biggest concern, and it goes back to this intentional Matt Singh, the Foa 4 are epic, but there were 6 people from Foa who weren't a part of the Foa 4. The Matt Singh 2 of Denise and Malcolm were great, but there were 4 people that weren't a part of that. And so what this is to say is, yes, being on the smaller portion of the tribes here, like when you look at the Brains tribe from Cagayan, the 3 of them, Tasha, Spencer, and Cass, went really far, and they did really well. But none of them won. And none of them won, maybe because of the early game and they couldn't trust each other that early, but maybe keeping Garrett would have been the smarter move than keeping Jatia, so that a tribe like the Brawn might have had a vote out a Tony or a Sarah earlier in the game than they actually did because they wouldn't have trusted them. And so all I'm saying is, yes, this will build confidence in whoever makes it through this, but Liana and Evie are taking massive chances, especially with this shot in the dark out there, that they are going to be the 2 people who survive this tribe and ultimately get to work with the other tribes and use that bond to manipulate others, much the way we've seen these tribes that are lesser off hitting a merge do.
Wow, that was sick. That's a really good point. I mean, I think like
Robert. Now you can be Robert because I appreciate that.
I think like wow, I'm still like processing that. I think like it's just because there is something like, oh, we see these like epic small like reduced number tribes, like, you know, or the I-24 or whatever. It's like those are the ones we remember. But just because we remember them, does that mean that they're like it was a good strategic decision, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, it worked for Denise. It worked for worked for Russell and Natalie. But like, I don't know if it's always like.
But then you look at the Lesu 4. Didn't work for them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, ultimately Chris wins the game, but he wasn't part of that alliance.
Right. Wow. Man, I think. I don't know. It's I agree. I think it's too, you were too short stacked to be able to like consistently, because like what if you just lose the next 2 challenges? It's like, all right, you know, Liana and Evie got to go to fire. Like that's not something I want to risk my game on. I don't want to like go to that. I don't want to like hope that I can be social. I mean, I guess you have to have the confidence to, you know, be willing to worm your way into another tribe, but like I feel like it's just so much safer. And at this point, you don't need to take risks in the game. You're still like 2 tribals in or 3 tribals in. And like you can still do like, oh, let's get a small advantage here, small advantage here. Like you don't need to, you're not like, you only really need to make the big moves when you have nothing to lose. And Evie is very much in a position where she like has a lot going for her. So I don't think she needs to give it up yet.
Here's why this is the wrong vote. Okay. Here's why this is the wrong vote.
I don't know if it's the wrong vote, but keep going.
No, but here's why it's the wrong vote. Yeah. I'm going to say this because here, first I'll preface with this. Vochi was the right vote instead of Xander. 100%, no doubt about it. 0 questions asked. I will get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But why it's the wrong vote to not vote out Tiffany here is this. Vochi and Xander trusted you 100%. They completely trusted you. And I understand that Evie is concerned, well, it's 2-2 if this happens. But it's not because Xander doesn't have a vote and these other tribes haven't done anything. No other phrase was stated. With this game being 26 days, if you lose, you're going to tribal very quickly. If you're super worried about his idol, if you're worried about Xander's idol, you would vote him out here. Because if you keep winning now, you're not going to be able to vote out Xander. But by keeping Tiffany and voting out Vochi, now if you lose, yeah, you're still up 3-1 on Xander, but Xander doesn't have a vote anyway. So you can just vote out Tiffany at the next one and still be up 2-1. What I'm saying is Vochi was really on an island no matter what here. And Liana and Evie would have had their entire game to vote out whoever they wanted at the next tribal between all of them. But they would have still had Vochi and Xander thinking that they were all aligned. And now it's a 4-0. Now it's like all 4 of you are together. Whereas now Xander's like, you just voted out Vochi. I thought it was supposed to be Tiffany. Obviously, he didn't vote, which actually worked out for him. But it was supposed to be Tiffany. You vote out Vochi instead. And now he might feel like he's on an island. So now you have 3 versus 1 as opposed to 4 strong. And you still have the advantage of 2-1 in that grouping.
Yeah. I think the ordering of that is a really good point. I also think socially, and this is where I disagree partially. I don't know fully where I think of if this was the right vote or not. So initially we had Voce, Xander, and Evie all together. And on the other side, I'll do fingers. We're
thank you, Brad Culpepper.
Yeah. I can count to 9. We're Tiffany and, oh my God, all these names. Tiffany and Liana. Mm-hmm. Evie, after getting the information about Xander's risky, what was it called? What advantage?
Beware advantage.
The beware advantage, which we'll talk about later. She flips over and wants to work with the girls. Mm-hmm. And once we do that, I don't know if Evie flipping back is a good idea. Because if she flips back, then she loses Evie, and then Evie loses Liana, and then Liana is going to spread that back to Xander and Voce, and then they're going to be like, oh, she was going to flip on us, and then socially now Evie's out. And I don't know if like maybe it would have been the right choice to initially vote out Tiffany, but once you reveal that information to Liana and Tiffany, I feel like you can't go back.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But if you can blindside Tiffany and make her think that everything's going great and then just get rid of her and Liana is on board, I think Liana might have been more on board with this, but I think Liana and Evie are making all of their decisions together.
Sure. And in that case, then I think it's fine. But I don't know. We couldn't have seen what the relationship there between Liana and Evie was and what they wanted to do. We got like a little tiny bit of it, but that was it. So
yeah, and here's where I'm coming from with this is like, okay, so now you have Xander who can't do anything. He's literally useless on this tribe. He can win you challenges, but he can't vote. He's got no allies. He's got nothing. If you lose the next one, are they going to vote out Tiffany anyway? Or are they going to vote out Xander? And then Liana and Evie, you're going to put them willingly put themselves in a Bobby John Stephanie position because that's what they would be doing. I don't know where Tiffany's strength is going to come from in this game. Maybe it'll be on the puzzle end or something like that. But if you have to do the physical swimming or balance part, we saw tonight Tiffany is not going to be able to compete with the other tribes.
That's a good point. Like, I don't know what they do next. You know, I mean, I guess you could always say that about like voting at 4, but like, who's next? Because if they're going to vote out Tiffany anyway,
Why not just vote her out tonight and then vote out Vochi or Xander next time, which you would have?
I guess it's because they're playing for the swap. They're assuming that the swap is very soon,
and that's dangerous with this whole Jeff saying drop the 4. It's just a 1. What happened in Survivor Season 1? There was no swap.
Also, I'm saying is that I think that predicting a swap at 15 is stupid. It would happen at 12 or at 14.
Or at 14, yeah. Because they would go to 2 tribes.
You're not going to swap back to 3 tribes. Like,
no,
we're going from 3 tribes to 6 to 3 tribes to 5. Like, no.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, they almost always go 3 to 2 to 3. That's normally how it progresses. So yeah. I think it was, now it could ultimately work out for them. Let's say they go on a run here. Maybe Ua's not.
If they go on a run, it's very, very, very good for Evie. And
yes, if they go on a run,
and probably I would say good for Xander also.
I would say if they go on a run, Xander or Evie will be the last remaining person from this tribe, because either Xander will be able to finally get to play individual immunities and run it, or Evie will go as far as possible because of who.
And actually, yeah, it's good for Xander, because if you don't have a vote for like an indeterminate amount of time, like you could argue that it's okay to go to tribal council when you have a vote, but if you don't have a vote, like there's like, what are you doing? Like, you need to play hard. You need to like get those wins. You need to protect yourself while you have no agency and no idol, and like can't even do anything. So
yeah,
Xander is in a tough spot. If there was LVP, it would be Xander.
Yeah, it would. And this beware advantage was interesting because we're told right off the bat, it says beware on it. This isn't like Jamal's bullshit floating piece of paper. That it's not that where Jamal got totally screwed. It says beware right on that piece of paper. And he takes it, and I would take it too. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
I would have opened that immediately.
Yeah, like you're playing Survivor. It's time to make things happen. I thought he did a pretty good job of throwing in the bullshit line that he had to say, which we'll talk about, like these phrases. I don't really like that they were given.
They're so funny.
They're so all over the place. That's the thing. But
so funny.
It's made too apparent that something weird is being said here. But anyway, I do find it a little bit interesting how this has to work now for him, where he is relying completely on the other 2 tribes doing what he needed them to do. Now, he said it at this tribal. He's not going to have to say it again, or at this immunity challenge. And now it'll be the other tribes. Once he hears it, then he'll know he has a vote. Evie knows everything that Xander needs. So this is, again, why I'm like, why are they trying to get rid of Xander? Is dishing them as so much information. And you'll know when he has more power. But right now he has nothing. So, and he trusts you so much. So yeah, Xander's LVP for everything that happened tonight, but I still don't understand why he's being so ostracized, because it just seems like he is. It just seems like they're worried about all these things that he might have. He has an extra vote, but he doesn't have any vote. So what difference does it make? He has an idol, but the idol doesn't do anything.
I don't think Evie was the person that was worried about that. It seemed to be
it was 100% Tiffany, I know. And I'm surprised they went with Tiffany on that and didn't just say, oh my God, she's all over the place. We're not going to be able to control her later in the game.
What you could have done, what you could have done is, if you really wanted to make Tiffany like okay with it, and I guess this is if you want to vote out Xander, is you put 2 votes on Xander and then 1 vote on Voce. And then if Xander has an idol and plays it, then then you does that work in my head?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Because then it's only one vote for Tiffany, and then you revote. Or if Xander has his vote back, then it's 2-2-1. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan Alford, for I think saying that. We came up with it independently.
He said it a long time ago, but it's a good point. I just keep going back to, though, like, I think Vochi is the right person to vote off. If you're insisting on voting off one of the guys, vote off somebody who actually has control, who could have a say in this game right now. Xander, Xander's laying in wait. Like, Xander's in the cocoon right now. He hasn't come out yet, and he might never come out. You could just chop him off the tree here. It doesn't matter. But he is in the cocoon, and it could blossom, and then you're in trouble. But voting out Vochi here, Vochi is 100% the one who actually could do something to upset this women's alliance. Xander can't do it right now.
Yeah. Also, I will say that it looks like, out of all the seasons where bad things have happened to people, it's already like risky telling people if you have an idol or an advantage, because I mean, yeah, they could spread it around, but if you tell your number one ally that you have an idol, like that benefits that tangentially. But
Yeah.
if you are telling someone that like, hey, I can't vote or play an idol for any amount of time that I don't know what it could possibly be, I feel like there is so much more incentive for an ally of yours to just be like, oh, you can't do anything to help me. Like, yeah, I like you, but if you can't vote to protect me, like I gotta dip. I gotta find another alliance. And I feel like that's kind of, I don't know if Evie was exactly thinking that, but like look at Voce. Like his number one ally didn't have a vote and couldn't like use anything to protect him, and like he went home. So
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna have to start seeing people like, if you don't have a vote that tribal council, don't tell anybody, because then it's just like, oh, you're powerless. We'll do anything to you. So
yeah, and I think that Xander telling them might have been not might have been. I think it was a stupid move. I think telling everybody that. I think he could have just kept this to himself and just said, "Hey, I don't have a vote. It doesn't matter. Like whatever." And so I don't like that he necessarily told them. I get what he's trying to do, but he's almost trying to play too social or play like too social, too clean of a game. It's not going to happen. And I think it does hurt him here. See, but if you're Evie and you're thinking already, well, Xander's not going to be able to help me when I need him to vote with me, you're thinking way too far ahead, because right now you're down to final 15 and you guys haven't even come close to even finishing near the top of a challenge. You don't even come close in any of them. That first thing on the boat, the first immunity challenge, this immunity challenge, you haven't been close on anything. The only thing that you were successful in doing that was challenge based was filling the buckets with water, and that was Xander and Voce. So, like, I am just very concerned that if you're thinking that far ahead, you're just going too far ahead with everything. And I get it's hard to do. You're playing a 26-day game. It's day 5. You're on a tribe that's losing. And Evie says in this episode, all of the women are in power or something along those lines. Like the women are in power and running this game. But they're not running this game because the game isn't just being played at Yase. The game is being played at Luvu, where all 6 of them could run this game over you. And it's being played at Ua, where you don't know what's going on over there, and a woman just went home. So that's where it's like you start to get too confined to what's happening on your tribe. And now how do you expand out?
I also think that it is hard to, I don't even know if it's hard. I don't think you can take into account, I don't know. I don't know exactly the right like scope of what you can tell on other tribes, but I don't know how much you need to take that into effect, right? Like if the women are in power on your tribe, like they're as far as if I'm on a tribe that where women are in power, like it doesn't matter if like who is running, if like my best friends or worst enemies are on the other tribes, like running those tribes, I'm still going to get voted out, you know? And
That's
I think that like, I think like 26 days, I know that like preseason, we've been talking about like, it's a 26-day game. There is something that's going to change about the meta of Survivor. I feel like as a player, at least for this first season where we have this change, you got to play like a 39 days, because like if you're trying to guess what it is, like you can't just blindly guess to see what it's going to be like. Like this is the first season. It's a new era. We're going to have to figure it out as we go. You know, we can't guess into the future. We're just only going to be able to react to what we have. And I feel like I feel like people are trying to play more fast paced, but it's still like, hey, you still got to make it through.
You still got to make it.
Still got to make it through the travel council.
Yeah, and with all that being said, I still think Evie is the MVP of this episode. Total control on the tribe.
I mean, we didn't see anything else from any of the other 2 tribes.
No, and that's why we have it. We're 24 minutes into this podcast. We haven't even mentioned Ua or Luvu, really. Yeah. But like, I agree. So like, you get somebody like Xander, who's a runner. You go and you're the best runner at your high school, and you beat everybody on your team. You're like, great. I'm the best runner on my team. And whoever your top 5 are, you're like, we're great. We're the top 5. And then you go run against these other teams around you, and every single one of the top 5 beats you. Because you can't necessarily prepare for that. You have prepared yourself as well as you can for what's in front of you. And that's how you have to play Survivor. But you can't be saying, well, I'm more worried about control within my tribe to the point of I'm going to maybe make a decision that I don't agree with, which it seems like Evie didn't really agree with the decision tonight. And I think it's too early to be making that kind of move for power when we've seen this a million times. But what good did that power do for War Dog, Lauren, and Kelly? It didn't do them any good to have that power. And sometimes that is the biggest mistake with Survivor is when you have these small numbers, you almost start playing it like it really is the final 6 or final 5 of the game.
I mean, I guess that's the perception that you have, because if maybe there's some like deep psychological thing of like, oh, I'm living on an island with 4 people. Like maybe that's just how you think, you know, I don't know. I couldn't know that.
Yeah, no, but exactly. And so it's hard to tell. I mean, we won't know if this was a good move or a short-sighted move until 4 weeks down the line, probably. I mean, we could know as early as next week. Liana's crying in the preview, so maybe Liana goes home next week. It could maybe be something that's that quick, or it could be something that takes a little bit longer for us to figure out if it works. I think Yase is in a lot of trouble. But if they can get into a challenge here,
they're fine.
If they can get into,
they'll just win all the immunities.
Yeah, if they can get into a challenge where there isn't balance or swing, like if it's a very like mental challenge more than anything, or I think now they've learned for sure Tiffany will always be doing the puzzles. If they can just beat one team, it could totally change the outlook of this game, and then you can start rolling with it.
Well, they're not beating the blue tribe, Luvu, right? Luvu.
That's what I think too. Okay, so we got almost nothing from Luvu this week at all, except like Nasir is pretty good, and we got some with Deshaun because he actually went over and worked with what do you call it with Evie. We got a confessional from Sydney. We didn't get anything from Erica. We didn't get anything from Danny, and Heather might as well be purple at this point because she the only thing we saw her do on this episode was raise her hands and go yay when they won the challenge.
It was kind of crazy though, like. This isn't strategy at all, but like Nasir's like backstory of like, hey, I lived in a village. We ate rice and then we ate the vegetables that we had and we just hung out. We just vibed. And like, that's crazy. That's like a wild story. I mean, good props to him for his whole journey. That's insane. I thought that was one of the craziest ones.
I love it, and that's why I loved Nasir before the game. I thought his story was awesome between that and like coming to America and doing what he's been doing here. Like I think his story is unbelievable, and that's why I really, really liked him. And I thought he shot himself in the foot on the first episode, but now I'm starting to think maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't shoot himself in the foot at all because now it looks like all of a sudden they like him and they want to work with him, and now they need him for survival and blah blah blah. Is Luvu ever going to tribal or no?
Unless again we get to like one of these like mental challenges that Yase is like good at, and then like Luvu is just randomly not good at it or something. But if we're sticking with these kinds of challenges, like it's been a solid lead both the challenges that we've had so far.
Yeah, I think they're gonna mix it up at some point because I think they know like you can't have just a tribe. I mean, this always happens with 3 tribes though. One tribe always gets destroyed. Always, every single time they get destroyed. Happens every time there's 3 tribes.
I mean, it's like it's a snowball, right? Like you lose a 1/6 of your tribe, you lose a 1/5 of your tribe. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, buy another person from the store? No, like you have so many less resources, and you're like mentally, I can't imagine it. I mean, it meant a lot of things are bad for you on Survivor, but like, you know, there's no reason for it to not snowball. You can't be like, oh, let's try this person on the puzzle now. It's like, oh, you voted out your puzzle person, and now everyone sucks at puzzles, and it's a puzzle competition. So,
and kind of what's happening with Yase kind of reminds me a little bit of what was going on. Not even so much with whatever it's called, Luzon, or what was the tribe from? Why can't I think of the name of the tribe from Cagayan? But whatever. Not even so much the brains there, because David, how well was he going to do? Garrett was already starving on day 4, so it didn't really matter. But it reminds me more of what was happening in Koram, where like it was little petty stuff that was getting people voted out, and they kept keeping Blondie around, air quotes, Blondie, Alicia. They kept keeping her around knowing that they wanted to get rid of her anyway, but they didn't get rid of her. And that kind of is starting to feel like what Tiffany is right now, where it's, hey, she's not the strongest. Her name's come up the first 2 times. And why do we keep keeping her around as our tribe just keeps going down and down and down so we can get rid of a Darnell for really no reason other than that he blew 1 challenge? And for getting rid of Jennifer just because she had like a mental break, which I get. Like, I get why you got rid of both of those people, but it seems like more short-sighted than getting rid of Alicia, who totally was not helping you. And maybe Tiffany will end up making a whole run to the end. I mean, it's not that I don't like Tiffany. I just think that with the tribe that they have, to take the chance and keep Tiffany tonight, that is a very, very, very big move.
Tiffany's equity goes way up once you hit merge.
Absolutely. But you got to hit the merge. How are you going to get to the merge with her?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, going back to what else did we see from the other two tribes? We saw
Ua, all we got, they got the first part of the episode, and that was the only thing we got, and that was Brad running around like a crazy person.
Which was hilarious. I still love Brad. Brad's really fun.
I'm a huge Brad fan. And I'm a huge Shan fan. Those two did not change for me at all this episode. JD pretty much got nothing. Jeannie is invisible.
I think it's good that JD got nothing.
I agree. A little calm down episode. Jeannie was invisible, and Ricard had a little bit, but not much.
Which I think, if we're still going with the Ricard is a very good winner pick pre-season, still goes along with that well, I think.
See, I don't think he's got a shot to win at this point. I think because even
it's still early, but
Well, yeah, it's still early, but his confessionals tonight were still very negative. And that was very interesting.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like tonight it was very much like, okay, Brad's running around like a crazy person.
Yeah.
That was really fun. JD was talking to Ricard, and then Brad comes back, talks to Shan. Shan gets more of the positive spin out of this. Right. Oh, I'm going to tell Ricard because he's who I'm closest with, blah, blah, blah. And then Ricard's confessional is Brad's done. I don't like Brad. I want to cut Brad. I can't trust, but whatever it was, he sucks at this game or something like that. Normally when somebody says that another person sucks at the game, they don't win. You know who said somebody sucked at the game a lot? Johnny Fairplay said Sandra sucked at the game a lot. Johnny Fairplay didn't win.
Continues to say that, actually.
He does, yes. It's very obvious. But Johnny Fairplay didn't win. And I think it's still early, but I do think, especially with Voce going home here, I think Ricard is your villain of the season, but it's a good villain.
I'm down for Ricard as a villain. That's a really good season, I think.
I agree. I mean, we need another kind of like iconic villain who from day one is already starting to get under your skin a little bit, and then by the end,
which was supposed to be Voce, and then he was cool, and then he got voted out.
I know the Voce storyline was a bummer. I know the Voce thing was a bummer.
I was talking about in 39. I was talking about Dean's shoes, but Voce's shirt is like so cool.
I know,
and I want to message him and be like, "Where'd you get it?" So I can buy it myself.
I mean, your shirt's not too bad tonight either, intern. I've been wearing the same shirts for the last 10 years.
My shirt has the CBS logo on it, actually.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, don't show it on here. We don't want to get in trouble. And he showed it. We're in trouble. There it is.
I don't even know if it's supposed to be the CBS logo, but it certainly looks.
You probably just put a curse on us or something, But yeah, so I think Ricard is being set up to be the villain. I think Chantel and Ricard, though, are setting up to be a power couple for sure as the season moves on. I'm curious to see who their third and fourth are going to be. I am at the point right now, and I'll just say this outright. Jeannie, Heather, I don't really know what's going on with them. And so at this point, like if Ua loses, I really do hope it's Jeannie.
Wait, we have to
from
Jeannie. Can you bring up Gamer Girl's comment? Ricard is not a good villain. To me, he's a villain you want gone like Scott and Jason. Here's what I'm imagining. Imagine Todd Herzog, but he's Todd Herzog and like Johnny Fairplay combined. That would be insane.
That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like it could be. Also, I loved Scott and Jason until Scott started getting like a little too crazy. But I really liked Jason. Jason, I had no problem with. Scott started to get a little carried away as the game went on. But Jason, I like Jason. I thought Jason was a really good villain. I thought the whole bullying thing was what it was, and it's just like a fun word to throw around at that time.
What did you think overall about the Beware advantage?
It doesn't bother me. I like that they're trying to mix it up and figure something out. I actually thought it was a pretty cool thing. It says Beware on there. I like the idea that, like, if this is how you get idols this season, good. Like, to get an idol, you have to really work this hard and you have to rely on other people. There should be a little bit more of randomness to it than what's just going on all the time.
Yeah, I think that, like, so initially idols were like, you got to get, like, there's like a long chain of things that you have to go right, of like the clues and searching for it. And then you get the idol. And then it started to be like, oh, they're off looking at camp, like off away from camp, looking for idols. Like socially, you're missing out on that time hanging out with people. I think both of those things are gone now. if now that there is just like strategically a negative aspect to getting an idol, I think that this is a good spot, and this will help prevent, because instead
Idol
of like,
apocalypse, yeah,
instead of 4 people getting just idols and like having them all together, if 4 people have idols now, it's because 4 people couldn't vote for like 2 or 3 tribal councils each, and if that happens again, then I think it's worth it.
See, I totally agree with Logan here. The phrase part is too much, though. It should just be swap your idol with somebody from the other tribe. I agree with that part. I think the phrase thing is drawing too much attention to you, because you have to say something stupid just to like get it out there. And you can figure it out. You can say it in whatever way, but like, I don't know. I think the phrase part is too much. I think it should be like, once you have yours, you have to give it to Ua, and then Ua has to give theirs to Luvu, and Luvu has to give theirs to you. And none of them are active until all 3 have been transferred.
Well, so they did this again. I always bring this up because it always is relevant. They did this on Big Brother like 7 years ago, where it was like, who knows the secret? Say the secret phrase. But it wasn't like, butterflies remind me of my dead family. It was like,
was
hey,
the stupidest
if
thing.
I say eagle, you say apple pie.
That's like exactly like that's all they had to do here.
Yeah, and so I thought it's like really funny, and apparently like you just got to keep saying it, and so we're gonna get like Xander's gonna have to say that every single time. Which
is he actually?
That's what
I think he only had to do it the one time.
That's what my brief readings on Twitter let me understand. Perhaps I will be corrected later.
I hope he only has to say it once.
I thought it was really funny. I get we're in different camps here. I think that the whole like cross confirmation of like idol stuff is like cool. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have like a strong opinion about it.
I like the idea. I just don't like the phrase, because I think the phrases are too goofy. They're not just something that can just be like said and like that you could just pick up on that's subtle. And I think it should be something subtle, and if the person on the other tribe misses it, that's their problem. They don't realize that their idol's even active then, because they didn't pay attention. But like, this was too much. The other phrases, they were just kind of too much. But like, I do like the route that Survivor is going, because they're willing to say, okay, maybe we won't have idols for a bunch of episodes now. And by the time we do get an idol, like, who knows what's going to be happening. So I like that they're willing to do that. And also, like, it's about time people lose out on something in this game to get something good. I think there needs to be that balance. I think that's what Survivor was missing for the longest time. Jamal's was stupid because Jamal just totally lost his advantage, lost like anything. Like, that was dumb. But there needs to be this balancing out of, rather than having an idol and an idol nullifier, to get the idol, you lose your vote. And can you survive long enough to earn that idol and now play that idol correctly? Yeah, that is way more compelling.
That is a good, compelling trade-off.
Yes.
And something you can make strategically, and not just like, oh, I found the bad advantage and now I get voted out.
Yep.
So also Sudeep Rouser, I hope I said that right, says they all have to say it together. That would be funny. They should also make it a minute long. So it's like a really like full-on chant. And then Jeff is like, you have completed the ritual. Here's your idol. That would be funny.
And the others all just drop like with the Kool-Aid, right? They all go Jonestown or whatever it's called. They all just go down.
That's not where I was going, but yeah.
I'm just saying at that point we go full-blown Wicker Man and everybody's just dead. So, but yeah, I like this route. I like this route. I think this is a smart move. If Xander can get through all of this, the audience is going to be so attached to Xander.
If Xander can get through this, he deserves it, because I don't know. That's a really bad place to be.
And now if you're Deshaun, do you go back to your tribe and say, hey, everybody, there's an idol this season, but the only way that idol works is if all 3 tribes find the idol. So if we don't find the idol, Xander will never get a vote the rest of the game.
But also, even if Deshaun wants to find the idol, like, only Xander has found it, are you going to wait? Like, I guess you wait for the second person to find it and then you go look for the idol.
If you know what
but you aren't going to get the idol now and then lose your vote for however long it's going to be and then just be like, well, I got the idol eventually, right?
Yeah, I think that's something you really don't look for until emerge. But this is what I'm saying. Do you even look for it and say, well, Xander gets no vote the entire game?
Yeah, there's a negative advantage too, but there's also an incentive to wait to find the beware advantage, right? Because if you're the last person to find it, you're good. Like, you're fine. Yeah. And so if this in the future, like, makes people wait to find, like, oh, I don't want to be the first person with the beware advantage. Like, that's that's a good idea. That's
now,
interesting.
Here's a question for you. Was it you found it, now either you open it or go give it to somebody else, or was it you found it, now either open it or put it back?
Yeah, I don't know. That's
they said
something like an interview with Jeff or something will reveal, or a Dalton Ross thing.
Yeah, I know that they did say something similar, but I was just like so caught off guard by what the clue was that it's kind of like when somebody introduces you and then you forget to catch their name because you're so focused on like, what are you going to say next, to not sound like an idiot.
But I am excited to see, like, I think there was another tweet where it was like, if no one finds it, does Xander lose his vote for the rest of the game?
That's what I'm saying. That's
definitely.
What I'm saying.
I don't think so, but like
maybe it goes until merge. But what I'm thinking is,
merge.
and this is what I really think is interesting though. Deshaun knows this now. So if you're Deshaun, don't even tell your whole tribe, don't look for this, because as long as Xander is in the game, he is powerless. That tribe now, the Yase tribe, is 3 people. It's 3 people because Xander can't do anything.
Yeah, and if your ally is Evie, then you're just going to be like, hey, I'm just not going to look for it. Mm-hmm. We got Evie on our side now. She's cool because we're giving her more power by taking Xander's power away. That's pretty good.
I know. Too many questions, though, regarding, like, would it work at, like, would it go away at merge or something along those lines? Like, I want to know the answer to all of that.
I need the full rule set and errata.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I think that would make a big difference on how you play this situation for sure. All right, let's talk about Luvu very quickly, because there was nothing there. And we talked about Deshaun and kind of this weird situation he's in right now. Danny got nothing after a really big first episode. I think that's concerning for him, because now I didn't think he had really a chance to win anyway. I just really liked him after episode 1. Not buying that he has a very good chance right now. Although I could be wrong, because why couldn't he win? His tribe loses, or his tribe wins, and they just decide like not to give him any screen time. The second episode's kind of a good maybe episode to do that. I thought it was interesting that Sydney was kind of getting confessionals here. Nasir got a pretty good edit tonight, no doubt about it. Definitely a rebound edit after last week. Heather and Erica were totally invisible. What are we making of what's going on here, despite the fact that we haven't seen them actually go to a tribal council yet?
I mean, it just feels like, I don't know. What was oh God, I should know this. What was the 38 tribe with Aubrey and Ron? Where
the Yala tribe.
Yeah, where they were like, it's just cool vibes here. We're just hanging out, winning challenges. Like, that's just what it feels like.
And then they lost and they blindsided the hell out of Aubrey.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like that feels like what's going on with Luvu, but we don't know who the Aubrey is. We don't know who's getting blindsided.
I think if there was going to be somebody, I actually think it would be Sydney at this point. I don't know if Nasir would go.
I literally don't know who it would be. I have no clue.
Heather or Erica going just wouldn't pack any punch at this point. There's nothing really to them, and you got to build them up. I don't think they're going to go out in a Tiger Mom type way, you know?
Sydney also feels like a Natalia Azoka.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. They do look very similar. So they do look very similar. And now let's jump over to Ua, which we talked about a little bit, but after last week, Brad was obviously a little concerned. His name came up, so he's running around like a crazy person. We see Ricard and Shan talking about him. We see JD kind of rebounding. We see nothing from Jeannie. Where are we thinking that this tribe is going at this point?
I mean, they don't feel like we're winning every tribe. I mean, they literally did go to tribal council. There was at least like they kind of teased like, oh, maybe they're going to lose to Yase, even though it's like not that close in the challenge.
No.
JD, I think, got a good Cool Down episode, as we mentioned. I don't know who they would vote out next.
Like, do you think it's going to be Brad? Do you think that they're going to be looking at him?
No, I don't think. I think Brad's good for a while.
Okay.
I mean, I still think Brad's good until mid-merge.
There you go.
Because he's strong. I mean, he's like strong enough to survive the tribal phase, and then he's like not strategically a threat enough to like not be a threat in the merge. So.
Yeah, I am curious to see what's going to ultimately end up happening with Brad. I really like him. I think he's very entertaining.
But I guess strength doesn't matter to the Yase people, so who knows?
Yeah, and why would it matter to this tribe when you have a little bit of an advantage now? And voting out Brad, it's not like you're voting out the strongest person in the game. Like voting, it's different. I think voting out Voce, because there was clearly Tiffany was your weakest member. Ua already voted out their weakest member. Now I think you can start to play the game a little bit more. That's just how I would play it. I would probably, on a small tribe, I would always vote out the weakest person first. I don't care if it's a guy or a girl. It literally doesn't matter to me. But I would vote out that person first and then start looking to who's my Alan Ball now? Who's my Patrick Bolton? Like, which route can I go here to make that happen? Because now you have a little bit of wiggle room, because at the end of the day, the smaller Yase gets, they have to use Tiffany in every single challenge. Tiffany's probably going to come back and she's going to slap me in the face, but they have to use her every challenge now. You're never, ever, ever going to get to sit her out. That's hard.
That is hard.
You know, why is Sandra such a good player? Because your tribe kept winning. She got to sit out every freaking time.
Sandra sit at bench.
That's it.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Not having to go to tribal. Pretty good at making you win the game.
That's a good point.
Good for going further and not getting voted out.
Yes. So I'll throw this one out here now as like from an edit perspective. So I think this is very interesting. I think Evie has so far owned the edit. I think Evie is probably our number one confessional getter. Liana got a little bit tonight, but not as much as I would have liked as a big Liana fan, although her challenge performance is amazing. Tiffany getting a whole lot of screen time. We're seeing all of those things. Shan still getting her moments. Sydney still getting her moments. I do find it interesting, though, that on this season where everything has been built up as diversity and all that, it is still 3 women who are getting 0 edit right across the board. So I'm just throwing that out there.
That's true.
Jeannie, Erica, Heather, where are you at? Because I'm not seeing you, and I feel like I know every single guy on this season, at least somewhat. I don't know the 3 of them.
You're right. I don't. Those 3 I like literally know nothing about, and everyone else I could say something about.
Jeannie, I know with her marriage and all of that. That was nice. Erica, I don't really know much, and Heather, I know nothing at this point.
Yeah.
You know, so it's interesting that's going on. It's also interesting that Jeff said guys about 9,000 times tonight. I'm just saying.
Oh, did he? I didn't even know.
Oh, I'm just saying. He kept saying guys.
Oh, we'll give him some time to adjust. I think that's reasonable. Reasonable for him to learn.
I just want to see if it's legit. If it's a legit olive branch, or if it's one of those olive branches, so they could say, "Look, we made a change," and then in all of the things that we don't draw attention to, we're still going to go and make the same error.
Yeah, hopefully it's not just virtue signaling. So
we will see. But he said guys a bunch tonight, and I know I've said guys a bunch tonight, but I never promised anything else. That's my unfortunate speak.
So the prop bet game. What other? Oh god, I key off my keyboard. What props did we get? Xander got the episode title.
Yes, he said juggling chainsaws. Who had the episode title for episode 1? Could somebody throw that in here?
Yeah, all of you.
Thank you. Somebody get in there.
Great commenters.
I have anonymous iguana in my Google Drive.
I'm anonymous iguana.
I don't know why it says iguana. That's annoying. But anyway, there was no winner. Obviously, I don't think we had any physical tears cried tonight.
I don't think so. I don't know. I won't say that Xander got a hidden immunity idol. Wow, that's a lot of words that I messed up. In an immunity idol yet, because he can't play it yet.
Get one yet? No. 10 plus votes. No. Vochi leaves with less than 5
votes. Yes.
No individual immunity. No blindfold.
Heather sat out once. She needs 2 more. Blue and green
got the reward, so they need what, 2 more for everybody who's still left on those tribes. I think Liana had her mouth blurred. I'm not sure if
we'll
Tiffany
have to watch
did
the tapes.
We'll have to watch the tapes and then figure it out. COVID mentions, I don't think there were any tonight. There were a lot in the first episode, but we didn't really put down as many as we should have, so we have to go back and fix that. I have to rewatch the first episode. I was watching that under pressure.
And
go home.
You go.
I was going to say, go home with an unused advantage. What is going on with Xander right now? If somebody else finds this half advantage or whatever, I don't think that this counts as them going home with an advantage, because they don't technically have an advantage.
If he doesn't use his vote.
Yeah, if he doesn't use his vote. But in terms of this whole idol thing, I don't think
you have the advantage until you have the idol.
Yeah, I agree.
I
think that right now you use a piece of paper.
I don't know if you guys discussed this last week, but I don't think the shot in the dark should count.
I agree. No, shot in the dark does not count.
Because otherwise, then everybody gets this and it's boring. So
yeah, I agree. Yes, I didn't even think about it.
Also, actually, one small thing. It does make Xander's shot in the dark like a good time to use if you don't have your vote anyways. So.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Xander, well, that's the thing too. Xander's going to 100% use it at the next tribal now, which another reason why I think this was the wrong move from Evie, because I think that if you go and you vote out Tiffany, Xander and David aren't going to be thinking that way, and you are going to have total power with Liana, which is who you want to have total power with anyway.
Yeah. So.
Anywho. And that's really what I got. I think Evie is an MVP. I forget who won MVP for last week. I think most people gave it to Chantel.
I'm cool with that. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I think that's who got it, and that's Team Alexa. So she'll be happy to hear that. So we'll just give it to her. Alexa can get her few points while she's still riding high, and then she'll start to fall apart later. But it was Shan, and most people are, at least in the chat here, are saying Evie for this episode, but we'll see what actually comes in the votes. For those of you who are $20 patrons, bunch of you got your power rankings in after we gave the reminder. We're not going to be giving the reminders throughout the season. I think we have 14 people who turned in their power rankings, so we'll definitely be keeping track of that. We'll be updating it this weekend on Sunday. But make sure that if you're $20 patron, if you didn't do it for week one, a lot of people got 3. I got 3 points for Vochi this week. You can still make that up, no problem. Yeah, it's going to be hard to make up 17 or 16 points, but all it takes is one bad week early on, and you put the right person in 17th place or 16th place or whatever it was.
Oh, wait. Sorry. People are saying that Xander can't use his shot in the dark because he can't vote. That's crazy.
That's great. That's a good point. That's a good point because he can't.
You have to give up your vote.
Go return to your seat. That's a good point.
Can you give up your extra vote and then use your shot in the dark?
I don't think he. I think it's just you literally can't vote.
That's crazy, dude. Xander's screwed.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yes. So yes, the power rankings game is for just our top tier patrons because that's like the big perk of being the top tier patron is that you get to compete the entire time. So
in terms of other competitions, the prop bet and bootless scoreboards are broken. My bad. I'll get them fixed soon, and I can post an update on social media, which you can.
Yeah, the scoreboards are broken, but when I look at the scores, I see like Survivor Spencer has 7 points.
Yeah, but it's like we don't know who's winning.
Yeah, that's
out
a good
of all
point.
of them.
So we haven't really done a good job with the prop bet. That's for sure.
Yeah, but we will get an update out for those people soon, so you guys can see where you are on the rankings. I'll get that updated sometime this week. So
yes, and so Alexa and I will be back on Sunday, and yes, Alexa will be back. We'll be back Sunday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, because we're going with a West Coast person, and we're bringing back Lauren O'Connell for our power rankings for episode number 3. So that'll be fun. Lauren's been on here a few times. Always a good time. And she just had that crazy premiere party where I know some of our patrons went. So that's fun. And Lauren will be a good guest. Always fun to have her on. Janet was a great way to start. Lauren will keep that going. So that'll be on Sunday at 9:30 p.m. So everybody tune in to that one. And intern, Robert, whatever I have to call you, thank you for filling in. Thank you for being here tonight. I think this was a good episode to have you come on for. It was very fun. And I don't know, at least this season, the one thing I'll say for this season, whether you like what's happening or not, I do think they're giving us a lot to think about in terms of where Survivor is going. And I have not felt that way in a very long time. Survivor has felt very stale for a long time.
Survivor's back, baby. It's back.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's moving in the right direction. So with that being said, goodbye, intern.
Goodbye. I'll see you all.